Up next on End of the Day Beer Review, we're going to be looking at Nothing Gold. This is a double Indian Pale Ale by Bissell Brothers, and it is 100% Maine grown grain, and it's coming in at 8.2% ABV. Check it out. Hi everybody, it's Rich, and welcome to End of the Day Beer Review, and today we are looking at Nothing Gold. And this is by Bissell Brothers, and this is a double Indian Pale Ale. Now, Nothing Gold, I'm assuming that's a reference to the Robert Frost poem, Nothing Gold Can Stay. Most people know that poem because it was in The Outsiders, or you like Robert Frost, or you went to high school in the United States, and you've heard the poem there because it's, I think, one of the most overdone poems in high school English. Anyway, so this is a double Indian Pale Ale. And first off, let me thank Fred because he did bring this back on his trip from Maine with his family. So I appreciate that, always looking for new stuff. And he brought back a lot of double and single IPAs just because I'm starting to get a little more into them. I would not say I'm an IPA fan, but I'm not anti-IPA, or at least not as anti as I once was. Let's give this a pour. You know, it's funny, this is pouring a little darker than I expected it to, but I guess with the name, I sort of understand that. I mean, it would be a clever reference to both the color of the beer and the idea that the grain leaves at the end of the summer and all that kind of stuff like that. It's very hoppy. I'm getting some pine. Those, you know, that hoppiness that's there. I'm also getting citrus and I'm getting pineapple. And I mean like a lot of pineapple out of this. I know my pour sucked, like that head is ridiculous. It has a palm's worth of head because I suck at pouring out of a can. So I'm getting citrus notes. I'm getting, it's also making my mouth water. So I think this is a very, very, you know, is going to be a very, very juicy type of IPA, if you will. I am getting the hoppiness that normally I'm not a fan of. It's going to be a matter of like, is this bitterness that I associate with the hops going to be cumulative, like as I'm drinking it, it's just hops and then more hops and it gets hoppier still? Or is it going to be the type of thing where it stays constant one to the next sip? There's something else there and I'm not sure what it is. All right, let's give it a taste. You know, that nose was deceptive. It's not as hoppy as the aroma led me to believe. In fact, it's shockingly mild, especially at 8.2%. That's a pretty high ABV beer. I'm not getting any burn. I'm not getting any sort of like overwhelming alcohol feeling. You know, in the pit of my stomach, as far as like the burn going down or in my belly. Excuse me. It is a little carbonated, a little bit more than I normally like because it is making me feel like I have to burp. You know, I have to say, on my journey down the double IPA road, and I have to say I am thankful that Gusto Brewing Company got me into that particular journey because I never would have tried it if it wasn't for one of the beers that they you know, said I should try, and it was great. I'm really starting to appreciate the double IPA as something that's a more mild version of the IPA, and I don't mean ABV wise, like alcohol wise, this is through the roof for an average beer, and it doesn't taste like it, which makes it an exceptionally dangerous beer. What I do like about it though is it has this nice citrus flavor, a little bit of bitterness on the back end, but that bitterness does not take away from sort of the fruit flavor that's there. And I'd say it's a muted pineapple, orangey sort of fruit flavor, and just a little hint of that hoppy pineness on the back end. It's a lovely, well-crafted beer that unfortunately I think on a hot day you would pound, and then you go grab another one because you wouldn't realize the level of alcohol in this and you would be in a bad way. So this is one of those beers that I think it tastes great. I love the idea that it's 100% Maine grown grain and brewed beer. I like when people support, you know, their state, especially a state like Maine that I'm really fond of. But you know what? This is that type of beer where if you had more than one, you'd be in bad shape, especially if you were to try to, you know, drive or do something that would require some mechanical skill. So this is a beer that I would recommend, but I would recommend if, you know, you weren't doing much that would require a whole lot, because this is an easy beer to forget how strong it is, and it is a strong beer. Only now, 2 to 3 sips into this beer, am I starting to feel a little burn in my stomach, and it's pleasant. The bitterness on the back of my tongue is not cumulative. It's not getting more and more. It's like there's a nice steady bitterness that sort of breaks up that fruit flavor on there. So, you know, would I buy Nothing Gold again? Yeah. Am I interested in more from the Bissell brothers? I really am, because this is an exceptionally good beer. So it says brewed and packaged by Bissell Brothers Brewing Company, 38 Resurgam Place, Portland, Maine, USA. And they have a website called bissellbrothers.com, which I am definitely going to be visiting to check out. I will say this. I think they did a hell of a job with this beer. It is very approachable, it's very easy to drink, and it's not one that I would be particularly, you know, that I would be reluctant to share with a non-IPA person, because it drinks like a very fruity, very approachable, albeit high ABV beer. I'm still not getting a great deal of burn out of it, and I have to tell you, I am got probably about a third of the way through the can, which means they have done the one thing that I always think is an indicator of a really good brewer. They have managed to hide that alcohol and hide that burn. How they do it, I don't know, but this is exceptionally good. Especially considering I'm not a fan of this particular genre of the beer normally. So I have to say, would I buy this again? Yes, I would buy Bissell Brothers Nothing Gold double IPA again. And it's one that I would share with friends because I think it's really worthwhile. But it is one I would share with friends while warning them, like, wow, that's got a pretty heavy ABV. Anyway, folks, I hope you've enjoyed the review. If you have, hit that like button, subscribe, maybe throw a comment down below. If you've had something else by Bissell Brothers or a recommendation for another Maine beer, I'd love to hear that. And I'm going to sit back, enjoy the rest of this one, and I'll see you next time on End of the Day Beer Review. Cheers.